All right, and welcome to another edition of Vibe Fridays. I'm gonna have to make that like like a recording of some sort. Well, welcome everybody. As always, we are so happy to have everybody here. We are going to go over. This is going to be a little bit more of an educational one that we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about Retell AI. We're also going to be talking about like the different iterations of it. It's just a different type of voice agent. We've gone over several different voice agents. We used the one in Highlevel natively. We talked about accessible and Everbots that we have with Mike Copeland. We have Mario here, and he's going to talk about retail today and like kind of the possibilities there. So again, just showing a lot of options in the AI space that can kind of connect to it. So tell me a little bit about retail. Like, why do you like it? I know you've been operating a lot in it, and I know you've been messing around with it. What do you like about it, and why there versus some of the other ones we have?
Yeah, so I think taking a little bit of a step back and understanding kind of the foundation of voice AI in its current state is really important. So there are realistically four major providers of voice AI technology on the market right now. So you have SynthFlow, which one of the OGs, not doing so hot right now with all of their system outages and just general poor quality of stuff. You have Retell AI, which is one of the top providers, up and coming, well-funded startup, doing amazing work in the voice AI space. You have Vappy, which is the most developer-friendly of the voice AI solutions. And you have Bland, which kind of exists out there in its own little isolated boat, right? But almost every single voice provider on the market is built on one of those four platforms. All of those, three of the four platforms share a core framework, which is why they look so similar. And Bland is the outlier in their own technology development and things like that.
Just to recap, for the simple people like myself out there, right? So again, all kind of doing very similar things, just different options with the different tastes. Now, before we get really deep into it, you mentioned about four. Like I said, we've been using Accessible. We're really happy with it. We think it's great. It probably is one of the underlying kind of base platforms for that. But again, just for anybody viewing, these are just the different types of voice AI that are out there. You're not limited to one. You just have somebody that, like Mario and myself, who's been testing a lot of these to try to find the one that we think works the same exact way, right? Now, when it comes to, you mentioned Vappy. Vappy is very developer friendly, but I would say for like the normal, like everyday user, it's got a little bit of a learning streak, right?
Oh yeah, Vappy is tough. It's probably one of the most powerful platforms on the market. And the reason it's so powerful is because you can do what are called transient assistance. And there's like all these other things that you can do in Vappy, but it's all done through code, which makes it really complex for your average user. That's what I love about Retell, is that it's not, you have the code flexibility for the most part, but the user interface for Retell is absolutely amazing. Awesome. I've been tracking their progress. I was a staunch Vappy user for the last like year and change. I have always been Team Vappy. And then with Retell's most recent releases on their UI, especially with the conversation flows and things like that, it just works, man. Like, awesome. It's like, I think that's probably the best part is like, there's no tweaking. You have the ability to tweak the settings, but they pretty much dialed in everything right there for you, down to the tonality and emotional space of the voice. Well,
let's just get right to it. Let's just see this thing, man. So as always, guys, we always try to bring you the best content so we can actually see things live, so you can see it for yourself and you make your own decisions. Again, we really don't push anything on this channel. Like, again, you're free to just explore what we show you and then go out and either decide on it or try to build it yourself. And we try to give as many clear instructions as we possibly can. And then when Mario gets to share his screen, then we'll be in a good spot. Just don't share your codes like you did last time, man.
Yeah, I know, right?
That being said, for anybody that's been watching a lot of the AI advancements in the last few weeks, we had a lot of really cool things happen. We had Claude 4 came out. Really, really enjoying Claude 4. Anybody that's been playing with Google VO, VO is the AI generations that's happening with Google, and I got to be honest, it's beyond impressive and a lot of fun. So these are all things that are coming out. So again, just keep an eye on the AI. AI is just really doing a really good job, and the trajectory is so pretty powerful that there's new advances every day. So on the screen, we have the interface of Retell AI. So yeah, wow, look at this. This looks very much like BotPress, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And it feels a lot like kind of if you were to take BotPress and VoiceFlow and give them a baby, that would be Retell, essentially.
Very cool. So this is the normal flow of a call coming in or a script activating the call.
This is the normal flow. This can be either. So this can either be the call comes in and begins here, or this is an outbound call that is being made to the user. So one thing that I want to just cover really quickly, just so everyone understands like the general architecture of voice AI, is that you start with speaking, right? So like I'm speaking to you, Nuno, and we're having a verbal conversation. What happens then is you actually have a transcription model that is a mini AI of sorts that is designed to interpret human speech and turn it into text, right? So you have speech to text, and then that text layer gets fed to OpenAI, or in this case, Anthropic, Claude or ChatGPT, what have you, as text, right? ChatGPT or the AI model responds as text. And then you have a platform like 11 Labs or PlayHT, which is text to speech. And that's what reads the statement from the AI. And the AI is essentially prompted that it needs to provide a response that is only the response that should be read by the text to speech engine.
Yeah, it makes sense. So there's always that middle. There's always a couple of those middle layers. So for everybody, like in kind of normal speak, and I'll just translate a little bit. I mean, perfectly explained, but a call comes in. It comes in a voice. The bot doesn't understand voice, so it has to always be transcribed to like transcribe to text. It receives that text. It goes through its rules of how it can respond. It generates a response, and then once again, the response has to be translated to voice. So all of this is going on in like microseconds at this point, and it's getting faster and better on how to do that. So there's always these layers when it comes to voice to text, text to response, text to then back to voice. So everybody needs to understand that. Doesn't matter which AI version you're using. This is kind of what happens with all AI as of now. I mean, one day they'll probably go away, but as of now, this is how the computers are processing all this information.
Right, exactly. And so in Retell, you have a couple different things in Retell that I want to show you. So this is a brand new Retell account that I'm setting up for HL Pro Tools. We are migrating off of Vappy and actually migrating over to Retell just because the ease of use is so much better. The reliability is so much better. One really cool quick tip or quick fact about Retell, they actually have their own dedicated OpenAI servers.
Oh, wow.
They're one of the very few that are backed by OpenAI. And in that they have the ability on demand during an outage to spin up very quickly those on-demand servers and fall back to their dedicated cluster. So even when everybody else has an OpenAI outage, your telephones never go down.
Wow. So they're throwing some massive amount of money into that.
Yeah. Like I said, man, Retell is the serious player. Like almost every AI that gets recommended on Highlevel, in the Highlevel forums and stuff like that, are all built off Retell.
Very, very cool. Did not know that. That is very cool.
Yep. So their API is super flexible, all kinds of cool stuff. But so anyway, so we have the ability right here to create voice and chat agents. So we're going to focus today on voice agents, but you do have the ability to create both. And these can actually interface with N8N. And then N8N will interface with Highlevel. It comes back to N8N, back to Retell. So that's kind of the architecture right now. They are working on a direct high-level integration.
That was going to be my next question. Is there a direct high-level integration? So not yet, right? So if you want to use this with high-level, you have to put like N8N in the middle of it.
Or Make or Zapier or something like that.
Got it.
Make is really easy to set up. N8N is really easy to set up, or a little bit harder to set up, but you can use like make.com and GHL Growth Tools modules with Scott Helliker, which has all of the appointment API endpoints associated with it. So you can use those modules and Retell to seamlessly connect it into Highlevel. And it's totally a cinch after that. I mean, it's really easy to use. So we're going to go ahead and create a voice AI agent. Now we have different styles of agents, right? So we've got a conversation flow agent. We've got a single prompt agent, a multi-prompt agent, and a custom LLM. We're going to not talk about custom LLMs today because that's an entirely other conversation. We're going to cover conversation flow, single prompt, and multi-prompt, at least from a high-level standpoint, pun intended. So think conversation flow as like a funnel, right? Where in the conversation flow, I have a very pointed goal associated with that conversation. So I say, I want you to book an appointment with this user. And at every step of the process, it's able to book appointments. Its goal ultimately is to book appointments with that user. A single prompt agent is designed for things like no-show follow-ups, meeting reminders, two-factor authentication notifications.
Oh, wow.
Basically anything that is a short duration call or an easy to achieve goal, right? So you wouldn't want to do something like, I need to ask a bunch of questions. You don't want to do things like, I need to go through qualification steps. That's designed for the multi-prompt agent or the conversation flow. Multi-prompt agent is a little bit more akin to a website in that you have the ability to originate in one place and diverge into different branches that are singular focused tasks to accomplish a step-by-step transaction. But you can, you can traverse any one of those branches.
Yeah. So for instance, so for that one, just give people a kind of example. So if I was like a real estate agent and I wanted to qualify them prior to jumping onto a booking call, it would first go to the qualifying agent. From the qualifying agent, it would go to the booking agent. And then from the booking agent, it can go, pretty much whatever else. But multi-prompts, it goes from agent to agent based on whether or not the goal's been accomplished, which is pretty darn cool.
Yep. And in multi-prompt, it's more for like if you want a sales department, if you want a support department, if you want, each one of those individual kind of departmental configurations in your voice AI. So think like intelligent voice routing, where it's like press 1 for sales, press 2 for support, press 3 for customer service, press 4 for billing, right? You can do that in multi-agent routing. Whereas you wouldn't do that in conversational flow, because conversational flow is complex tasks to achieve one mission. Does that make a little bit more sense, Nuno?
One sense. Well, yeah, absolutely. I think it makes great sense. So conversational flow agent for anything that's going to be single line, like you're just trying to get them to buy a product, book an appointment, one type of appointment. Multi-prompt, I have now a choice, or I have different parts to my overall goal. And then single prompt, just straightforward task. We have an example of what a single prompt would be?
Yeah, so a single prompt would be like, I use single prompt agents for meeting reminders.
Okay.
So, Georgetta, yes, it is HIPAA compliant. So I use single prompt agents for things like meeting reminders, things like no-show follow-ups. Hey, we're waiting in the Zoom room. Are you joining? Yes or no?
Very cool.
But I wouldn't use it for something like, I noticed you canceled your services. Would you mind telling me why? And then stepping through questions. For that, I'd use a conversation flow agent.
Yeah, same thing, folks. Very, very cool. Yeah, so I see patient screening there, real estate lead qualification, which is pretty awesome. Cool. Let's do it, man. Let's build one of these things. Oh wow,
Yes.
there's more. Holy crap. I didn't even know there was more.
Yeah, there's plenty of them. So you have outbound sales representatives, you have appointment setters, customer support, lead qualification, patient screening, all sorts of stuff. As you click these different prompt agents, they're going to give you, so you see how it says like healthcare check-in and notification. Those are really simple tasks, right? So Retell does an amazing job of giving, and again, we're not promoting Retell. We don't make any commission off of you guys signing up for Retell. I don't even know if they have an affiliate program.
Yeah, there's no links
like,
flying around. Just Google it. Yeah, we're not, this is not a sales pitch. We're just educating here.
Yeah, this is just the best. This is, in my opinion, the best AI solution currently on the market for especially outbound sales. And I get this question a lot when it comes to outbound sales and what's the best way to, handle, calling on these leads using AI. Now, there are a lot of legalities, around calling on leads.
Calling, yeah. And I got to be honest, I've been trying to educate everybody on this. We are in no way, and I want to be very clear, Mario and I are in no way promoting that you do outbound calling whatsoever. We actually are, well, I'll speak for myself, and I know Mario, I think, feels the same way. We're actually very against it right now because it is such a gray area that unless you have a massive amount of money to back you up and you can handle fines from the FTC, and well, it's not the FTC, it's
FCC.
Carriers and the FCC, right? FCC?
Yeah, Federal Communications Commission.
Yeah. So FCC and also the carriers themselves, you can be fined for doing outbound calls in certain states at certain times. So there are blue laws you have to adhere to. There are calling laws that you have to adhere to. There are state-specific laws. There are county-specific laws. And no way are we legal lawyers or can give any of that legal advice. You have to be very careful when it comes to outbound calling. Now, that being said, again, do your research and find somebody who knows all those laws. And if it's something that's legal in your state and you can do based on your business type and you're willing to take the risk and you have the money to back off, knock your socks off. For the brand new person expecting that and tries this out, you make one wrong move, it could be a $10,000 fine per carrier, per call, per message. And it's a big deal. It's really cute when it might be like it's not like $100 slap on the wrist. It is literally $10,000, $20,000 from each of the carriers for each of the calls that you make. So it's a very serious thing that you want to be very, very careful in. It's such a gray area that literally even the lawyers themselves don't even know where to go here. So just be super careful. Now for inbound, you are talking a whole nother game. Inbound, it is completely okay to use it. The only thing that I would also suggest is that anybody using AI, we've updated our terms and service and privacy policy saying that we are using AI agents to answer calls and also to respond to messages. So you might just want to change your language a little bit to inflect that because, again, that is the reality of the situation. And again, it's just a little extra protection. So just be very careful on how you use this stuff because it does have the ability of outbound calling and they're not going to be held accountable. You are. So just be very careful. That being said, I don't want to scare anybody, but again, that's only outbound. If you're not doing any outbound, none of that applies to you.
Well, and I think one of the important clarifications is that outbound calling is ruled as robocalling. So if you're able to use automated dialing systems if you're able to use automated dialing systems in your industry or with your explicit opt-ins, or a great example of outbound calling, Nuno, is I text someone, hey, do you mind if my AI calls you to help you book your appointment? Right? I've seen that work really well. Or, hey, do you mind if my AI calls you to grab some quick information before our meeting in 15 minutes? Right? So I've seen some really good kind of creative use cases for outbound, but I get that question a lot around how do I do outbound? So do with it what you will. Again, Nuno and I are not lawyers. We're not promoting outbound. But this works for inbound and outbound. So let's say that someone calls in, right? And I want to do we'll use the education program appointment setter. Awesome. I really like this one. So this is one of the ones that I've been using lately. And what I do with the education appointment setter is literally as simple as modifying each one of these blocks, right? So
you zoom in just a little bit more, just so that we can see like kind of the prompt. Awesome.
Yep. Perfect. So you have the difference between static sentence and prompt. So static sentence is going to read out directly the sentence that is placed in here. And it's really important, guys, to know that anytime, and I've done this before when I've done other voice AI coaching calls, or I've said this before, it's really important to know that when you're doing AI calls, to explicitly state that it's an AI. You want to state up front and set that expectation to the customer that they're going to be engaging with an AI. Are you going to turn some people off? Are they going to get frustrated and say, I want to speak to a human? Yes, you can factor in for that. What you don't want to do is make someone think it's human and then they figure out it's AI and they get mad.
Absolutely.
Now you might say, like, as a marketer or something like that, I want it to seem as human as possible because I think it'd be really cool to slip through slip through the radar, because that's going to prove that it works, right? But you're not selling to other marketers. You're selling to business owners and customers. And business owners and customers either want to engage with a human or they want to know that they're engaging with AI. And they're actually more likely to be curious about the fact that it's an AI because you stated that up front. So right in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this static sentence. So it says, hi, this is Nuno. And we're going to actually spell this a little bit differently. This is Nuno from Automated Marketer. On YouTube. This is Nuno AI Mario from the Automated Marketer on YouTube. Is this first name? Now, the cool thing with Retell is you have this test button over here. So you actually have the ability to publish or test. So I can simply hit test and I'll see if this audio comes through or not.
Yeah, the audio no, it didn't come through. At least I didn't hear it.
So I can, yes, to answer engaged reach, absolutely. You would simply add that as a transition card. So you'd say if the user, actually, we're going to do one a little bit different. We're going to delete this condition. And what we'd actually do is we'd add a call transfer. And we would say a warm transfer, it's a global node. And the condition would be if at any point the user indicates they'd like to speak to a human. So this right here in this global node is going to automatically transfer the call to this number, which is a fictitious number. Don't try calling this number because it doesn't go anywhere. I'm not putting my phone number on YouTube. Last time I did that, I ended up with a stalker. It was very weird. So not making that mistake again. Can't fool me twice. So you would put your phone number of where you want to transfer this into right here. You can also do dynamic routing. So you can enable, like, let's say that they want to speak to a person, but they want to speak to a person in sales, or they want to speak to a person in customer success. You can actually change the routing of this right here. So it's super, super powerful. But this simple global node is how you'd enable the transfer to answer engaged reach's question. So right here, we're going to go back to here. So I'm actually going to spawn this into a new tab. And I am going to call this Vibe Friday with Nuno and Mario test.
So I'm going to tell you something. You know how to best spell my name for computers? So new and no. So if you do KNEW and then KNOW, it actually works really well with the dash on it.
No joke.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because sometimes, believe it or not, it actually does my name pretty well regardless. But it was pretty funny. Somebody actually did that for me, and they're like, "Hey, I figured it out." I'm like, "Whoa."
That's hilarious. Okay, so let me try and call this number really quick. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go to phone numbers. This is, you can try calling this number if you want. YouTube, it's not going to make a difference because it's going to AI. So what we're going to do is we are going to call 805-261-5933.
Hi, this is Nuno's AI Mario from the Automated Marketer on YouTube. Is this first name?
Yeah, this is Mario.
Nice to speak with you, Mario. I saw you recently reached out about our program. Is now a good time to chat for a few minutes?
Sure, absolutely.
Awesome, thanks. So just to give you a quick overview, our program lets students earn college credit.
So that's how easy it was to set up a Retell AI.
Wow, that's pretty freaking cool. Now, as far as the configuration, though, because this is like the one that's going to kind of break people a little bit on the sense of how to do this in the end. I know we said like just keep this kind of like call everybody understanding like we don't want to overwhelm. This is already going to be quite a bit. We're introducing you to a new system. We went in, we showed you where the conversation is. We told you the 3 types of conversations. We talked a little bit about AI and kind of the base on it. Let's go like just a little bit deeper into this. So, okay, so now the welcome happens. What's the next node? And then on the next call, like on next Friday, what we'll do is we'll show the connection because that connection piece is probably going to be the harder piece of it all. So I think, Mario, you and I were talking about it. I think we're going to definitely divide this into 2 because you guys are going to go either we're ruining somebody's weekend because they're going to try to figure this out.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time a new introduction to an AI, I've been known, and I think you kind of get known for the same thing. We've ruined people's weekends because we show you the stuff on Friday, and everybody's like, "Oh, now I got to go try Retell." That's what we want.
No, it ruins my weekend too. Not at all. I love AI. I love my weekend getting ruined. If I wasn't moving houses this weekend, I would totally be playing with Retell and VO. So I want to save a little bit of time to talk about VO and a couple other tools while we're at it. But basically, the next area is this prompt. So this is where you can type in different prompts. I'll actually show you one that is about to be live. And this is the HL Pro Tools AI assistant named Tiffany. So the AI assistant named Tiffany first goes through this welcome node. It then goes through this conversation node. You can either put an example of the conversation or you can put an exact prompt, right? So for example, I have in here this conversation, but when you go down here into here, this is an actual prompt, right? So there are different use cases for different features in terms of prompt and static sentence. So you want to make sure that you're just using, so like this one, for example, let me try and zoom in here. This one, for example, says provide the user with the available time slots. Under no circumstance should you hallucinate or provide anything other than the time slots or time slots reserved by the tool call. Once you provide the available time slots to the user, ask them if one of the time slots works for them. If I have to say time slots one more time, it's going to be like, how many times can a woodchuck chuck? But anyways, I digress to say, this is the integration, the magical integration that Nuno was just talking about with Highlevel. And I'll really quickly show you what that actual integration looks like. Bear with me 2 seconds to pull that up.
Yeah, go
Let me
off
figure
camera.
out.
Like last time, we don't want to share any
Oh,
important.
you're good. You're good. Yeah.
But
So-
more importantly, remember, we are going to go a little bit more in detail with this on the next one. We just want to make sure that we show you how that kind of like works behind the scenes, and then next week we'll kind of help you guys integrate it a little bit so you can kind of see.
Yep. So next week, what we're going to do is we're going to break down this scenario into its constituent parts. And I want to talk a little bit about how this works and how we engage with AIs in terms of just some food for thought for everybody. We engage with in a verbal conversation very differently than we engage in a text-based conversation. When we engage in an auditory verbal conversation, what happens is normal speaking conversation, right? What happens is you make kind of assumptions. You're reading the person's body language. You're, pausing for effect. You have kind of different intonations, right? So you have to plan for these factors when you're building a voice AI. A lot of times what happens is people try and make it too rigid and it's not fluid enough. And then the AI just sounds very monotone and very boring. So in this scenario, what I've done is I've actually pre-programmed in things like checking for their time zone. Because if you send a user a message in text, you typically say 4 p.m. Eastern time, right? But in this case, the user is going to make the assumption, and you could say that it's 4 p.m. Eastern time in the message returning to the user. But the further you are away from their time zone, or if they have a hard time like me with like temporal context in general, like I have no concept of time whatsoever.
No wonder you can defy it.
I know, right? I have no concept of time whatsoever. And perk, I don't get jet lagged. Negative, I miss my anniversary dinner and things like that because I get wrapped up in code. But I digress to say, what you want to do is make it as close as possible to the user's best experience. So in this scenario, what it does is it actually gets the user's phone number and it asks Highlevel if we have their time zone. If we don't have their time zone, it actually determines what their time zone is based on their area code. So this is a little bit of a creative hack that I put in. This was kind of one of my little brainchilds, or brainchildren, not brainchilds, brainchildren. I speak English. One of my brainchildren for how to better engage with people using voice AI, because one of the challenges that I found was that people would pause for an extended, and I did this over like 1,000 phone calls, right? I analyzed all of the conversation, and I've been doing this I do this for a lot of clients, right? So I have access to call recordings and analysis and transcripts and show rates and booking rates and all sorts of things. And I basically noodled down, how can I make this better? And one of the key things I found was to reduce the user's amount of thinking as much as possible. So that was number one. And I actually have 2 versions of this scenario. There's even a more supercharged version of this scenario where the user doesn't even get free slots. The user just says when they want to book. It tries to book it. If it can't book it, then it gives them free slots. So we're going to cover those kind of different nuanced topics next week. But yeah, so it determines their time zone. It determines whether daylight savings is active or not. This was another bump in the road that I found when I was doing voice AI calls for appointment setters, was that EST is not the same as EDT. Did you know that, Nuno?
No, I did not.
Yes. I found out the very hard way because all of my appointments were an hour off across like 100 appointments.
I did not know that. I actually thought it was the same damn thing. Go figure.
Nope, they are not. And certain places like Indiana are always EST, whereas Cleveland, Ohio is EDT. So you need to know the difference between the two. So that's what this one does right here, is it actually takes the IANA time zone and factors in daylight savings.
Very cool.
So we do some date transformations. We get some free slots. We actually have them. Again, everyone, we're going to go over this a lot more in depth next week. I'll go through the code and explain how it works, what it does. And if you're lucky, I may even have Nuno put up a QR code where you can link to my GitHub, and I will give you a copy of this scenario.
What? Heard it here, folks.
Code.
Look at all this science that we're throwing at you, and on top of you, we're going to give you a freebie. Holy smokes.
Yeah, man. So tune in next week for sure on that. But basically what this one does is it's designed to algorithmically get the 3 most probable slots based on the user's input. To answer Miguel's question, yes, essentially we are using not GHL's voice AI agent, but using Retell's voice AI agent to handle outbound calls with N8N. Sorry, Dakota or Kodak de Boston. I know my PC is a little bit blurry. It's kind of hard to zoom in on the screen. But I'm actually going to give you guys this scenario next week on the call. So you'll be able to follow along live, where you don't need to actually read the code itself, because you'll get the live information.
Yeah, the other thing is too, folks, when we process this video, 7020 is all that it'll allow to go on Restream based on internet connection. There's really nothing we can do about it. But what happens is this records, and usually probably like 2 weeks after, we always try to make the video high quality, and then we go. But again, you don't really honestly need to worry about it, because we will be giving the automation on top of it, on top of showing you how to do it yourself.
So Georgetta asked a question. So you could, if you wanted, go between a custom vector DB with the call recordings if the customer wanted, and GHL and any LLM if you wanted. Yes, Georgetta, you are absolutely correct. And Miguel's question is, got it. GHL is the information hub for all the prospects. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we usually love using GHL and why we're big fans of GHL, because it just becomes a really good hub for a lot of the stuff that's going on. So it's just really important that everybody understands this. Like, you know, we both coach for HL Pro Tools, big fan of HL Pro Tools, which supports Highlevel. We've been in Highlevel for right at the inception between me and Mario. We have all of that. And notice that all the AI we've been using, we bring it back into Highlevel, because it's a great place to manage all your contacts. It does a lot more than just do voice AI and everything else, because it has the calendars are hosted in there, your AI is hosted in there, your CRM is hosted in there, your nurturing sequence could be hosted in there, your funnels, your payment processing, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. So it's the great big house that can house all this different AI. And there you go. What's really cool is, Engage Reach just said, you know, again, we are now doing the actual coding that he has. I didn't even know that Mario had that code. That's a pretty badass code, because a lot of people don't even have that. I know that just in itself alone is probably what it's weight in gold. So your little brainchild can now be giving birth to a lot of other little brainchilds.
Hey man, that's what you and I are here for, right, brother? Like that's the whole point of these calls, is for us to share and, you know, help people learn and everything else. I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm actually pulling up something on my screen. I just have to re-sign into literally everything, which is taking forever. So to answer Engage Reach's question about if you have the address, could you have the address override the area code? Yes, absolutely. That is totally doable.
Cool. Awesome. So we good?
Go ahead, Nuno.
Oh, no, I was going to say, so awesome. So again, we gave you the introduction of how to do all this. So what's going to be really cool is, again, next week, we're going to get really dig deep and kind of build it out a little bit further and create it like basically the interconnection. And then again, just to chime in, because that one is going to be a little bit more difficult, a little bit more in depth. But remember, childs, yeah, exactly. Or children, sorry. But we like to be improper in English here, because it just makes it a lot more fun. Plus, I'm from Jersey. I say everything weird. So long story short of it, show up next week. We're going to cut it here today for you guys. Gave you a nice little introduction to Retell AI. Oh, we did want to go into Vimeo. I'm sorry. We wanted to.
Yeah, I'm not just saying, don't get me off yet. I'm not quite done.
Yeah, and people are asking for Mario because again he's doing this, and there is no Zoom link, guys. Everything gets through our channel. There is no Zoom link for this. This is Restream. So we are on multiple channels right now. You are live. So all these questions are asking. How do I get a Zoom link? You don't. You come in live, and we answer the questions live as all we have in here. And again, PRB team is Retell AI is in replacement of Google. Yeah, so GHL Voice and Retell are doing the same thing. So if we were using Retell, we would stop using GHL Voice and use Retell instead. But again, we would still use GHL as the base program where everything is coming into. So hopefully that answers your question. Well, without further ado, you want to show my videos, or do you want to show mine, or how do you
Actually,
want to do
I want to do something kind of cool that I was playing around with earlier. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
So we're going to give you guys a little introduction. You guys have probably seen this, where we are going to be using the AI that is basically Google Gemini released their video, text to video, and actually text to video to audio AI that they did that basically we can create videos with. So go ahead, Mario. Let's get that going.
Nuno, do I have your permission to do something funny?
Oh God, help us. Yeah, just
cool.
Please something not. Well, you're gonna grow hair because that's not embarrassing at all. Are you gonna make me a woman? Oh, that's fantastic. It's just don't make me anything that my wife is gonna get mad at. So that being said, Kodak saying, I've got an automation I'm working on and it's stressing me out and done with automation, but the mails are going into spam. Kodak, on the YouTube, on the Automated Marketer YouTube channel, if you go into email and just type in email, you'll be able to get a whole bunch of videos to help you that and go and just nerd out on that. You'll see it there. Would you still use the GHL phone numbers? Actually, that's a really good question, Mario, while this video is generating. My BizSuite asked, would you still use the GHL phone numbers in retail? You would not, right?
No, you would use either Telnix or Twilio numbers, and you would forward the high-level numbers to retail after a certain time period using IVR or something like that. There's a bunch of different ways you can kind of skin that cat, my BizSuite. If you want to drop my link up on the screen, Nuno.
If you for anybody that wants to do setups for NAN, Mario is right here.
Also, that has my socials and contact info. So if you scan that QR code, you can find me on social media. I'm happy to answer more of these kind of in-depth questions in a little bit more of a one-to-one format. I love helping people. Nuno loves helping people. We're always available. So please, if you're watching this on YouTube or you're watching this live, feel free to reach out to us directly and we'll help you guys where available. Next question is, go ahead. That one's for you.
So you demo course, are you going to keep it updated? Yeah, my goal is to do that. Again, for anybody that hasn't noticed, honestly, it'll probably be the best $20 you've ever spent in your life. I put a lot of love and effort. We were actually going to make that course $997 because of how much stuff was in there. And if you guys haven't checked it out, make sure you do. That Udemy is pretty crazy. Miguel asks, is this still free to correct? No. So no, none of this is free. So we'll give you a little bit of advice, but Mario is not free. Let me just state that. Mario does come at a price. We will answer a few questions here and there, but at the end of the day, we both have to make a little bit of a living. So so just so you understand, every content that we paste in here, by all means, it is free. It is yours to have and everything else. And again, you're about to get next week an automation that probably took hours and weeks for Mario to create. It's still 3 hours at Mario's rate. 60 hours. Okay, so even worse. That's probably like a $10,000, $15,000 automation. So you're getting a $15,000 automation next year from there. All right, good, Miguel. You started worrying about it. Yeah, so Gemini is not free. Oh my God, that's hilarious. That actually really looks like me. Go and it kept my band and everything. Oh God, I can't wait to see this thing happen. Gemini is the VO is free. You only get a certain limited amount of credits. You do have to be on the Pro plan. The Ultra, though, gives you full access, but I think you get up to 10,000 credits a month.
Yeah,
So
and you
let's
get
see
access
this
to
awful
VO3,
video with me.
which VO3 is only on the Pro plan.
Yeah. Awesome.
I totally agree with Carla about Nuno's course, guys. If you're on Udemy, search Nuno's course. It's absolutely wonderful. He did a kick butt job on putting together the smash and grab for high level. It's a great way to get familiar with the system, to get acclimated, to really become that experienced user that gives you the confidence to sell. So highly, highly recommend subbing to Nuno's Udemy course. It is well worth the $20.
You want a prompt for Nuno's hands flailing in the air? I don't know if you want that. That might be a bad choice for you, Kodak. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Holy crap.
So you got a little bit of spatial blur.
I look a little weird in there, but this is not bad. I think I had an extra finger in there somewhere.
And the other one's only 80% done rendering.
So Mario, you know what I found out? I don't know if you know this or not. And somebody told me this today. You see the little thing? Yeah, it's on too. If you go to quality or the highest, that's where you get into the voice. It will actually put voice notes in there. If you give it like, tell it to generate a video doing the same exact thing, but now tell it to Nuno's excited talking about AI or something like that. So mind you guys, this is how crazy this is. I just want to make sure you guys understand the concept of what AI is doing. And this is why, honestly, this is absolutely banana. And just so you know, what Mario just used was VO2, not VO3. What he's going to do now is he's going to generate VO3. VO3 will add voice to the automation. These are all the videos you guys are seeing right now that all the marketers are geeking out on because they're doing like chiropractors adjusting somebody's back. They're there's people going in. I'll show you some of mine, Mario. I got people like pouring coffee and like spilling it on themselves. It's actually pretty funny. And we did a test with 2 and 3, and 3 was like next level. They're having a conversation.
Why don't I stop sharing my screen and real quick? We got about 13
let me share
minutes.
my
Let
screen.
me share your screen.
Okay, we're gonna go into the abyss here. Let's see. So many things we're doing here. It's insane. Here's VO. Here's Flow. Oh, by the way, I made a transformer into cabbage for somebody's child. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's a moving transformer that apparently looks like this. So these are all cool things you can do. Why won't it say? Oh, so this has voice. You can't. I don't know if you can hear it. Did you hear it speak?
Yeah. I just heard it for a second, but
yeah, so that's all it did. And then this is completely AI generated. A chiropractor correcting it back. I gotta pause it so it'll keep going. Okay. Look at the quality of this one. A little weird because she tries to get up. I don't know why. And he sits her back down again, and the cracking noise happens when she sits her back down. But that is 100% real. Like, not real. I mean, AI generated, that looks that real. And then we were messing around and just trying to make some of these things work. And that's one of the ones that we have. Now, for everybody that understands what Flow is, this is, you guys can access it here. We'll put the link. It's labs.google.ai. You have to have a pro account in order to use it. And what you can do is, oh man, that cracking sound is driving me crazy. Hold on, let me pause this. You can actually make scenes of videos. So you can make a full video into this. So I can say, now make it shoot cabbage bullets. I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. Oh, wait. Oh, man. Frame to video. Come on.
One of the craziest things, Nuno. So obviously, my mom passed away, not too long ago. Not to Debbie Downer the mood. I'm happy that she's at peace. But one of the really cool things that I found with VO3 and VO2 is that you can take a photo of a person and you can animate the photo of the person. So I actually have, it's currently rendering right now. It looks like it's been rendering for a bit, but it is actually a photo of her holding her ball python that she loved as a teenager. And the snake is like moving and she's like, you know, walking. And so I'm like trying to create a little bit of a longer clip, but it's a photo from the 1970, like mid 1970s, which is just absolutely insane that you can take these photos and videos or like little clips of things from, you know, the 40s all the way, you know, any photo that you can find and actually animate that photo. Like, how impressive is that?
That is pretty crazy. Like, I mean, it's really, really nice. Believe it or not, it's funny you say that because it was the anniversary of my father passing today. So,
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
yeah, you know, but it was a long time ago too. So it was like you know, close to 14 years ago. But like what I did is I was trying to make a photo for my mom of like him interacting. And I'm actually in the process of doing the same thing. So it's been running also for me for a while.
Isn't that so cool, right?
What was that? Yeah, we were trying to do the same thing. So go figure. Now, Wise Guy asked, how do they make in the long videos? Because in here, you can add frame to frame. So you can make a frame that can go from one to the other. And there's other apps like JSON2 Video and a couple of other apps that can basically do this stuff. And it can make longer videos. I think the longest video I've seen being made is about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. There's other people that are doing more, but what they're doing is they're pacing one video with another and just kind of gluing them in the middle. That's how they're getting away with the bigger kind of asks in there. So now my cabbage transformer is going. I actually got to send this to Christina, who was a person that was asking for me to do this. And I was like, because this is for a kid. Did yours finish rendering with the voice now on VO3?
No, it's still it actually ended up crashing. It didn't like you.
Well, we'll let that simmer for a little bit. We're running out of a little bit of time though. But again, guys, AI, we love it. This is how what ruins half of our weekends. And there we go. So with that being said, we are going to basically call it for today. We'll see you next week. Again, Mario is going to be giving away, I'm going to call it the $15,000 automation in N8N because that's how much time that Mario probably spent, if not more money onto that. So anybody that shows up next week, and don't ask for it if you don't show up because you ain't going to get it. So you got to show up. We'll post it live in here, and then we'll go from there. Just to confirm, in order to get access to VO3, you need an Ultra account, not AI Pro. I have AI Pro. I do not have Ultra. I can play with it. I just can't do anything long term. So if you just want to play with it a little bit, you can use the Pro. And I think Pro's at a discount. I think you get 3 months for half price. It's pretty. It's got a really good promo going on right now. And again, I don't want to throw any links out because we don't want you thinking like we're pitching anything here. So with that being said, everybody enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy your weekend, and we will see you guys next week on Bye Fridays. All right. So thank you.